I'm a resident of Olympia, and I come here today asking that the Board of Health recommend that schools reopen. Data from other counties show that schools can be reopened without harm to students or teachers. In fact, in other counties, the COVID-related data is worse than Thurston County. In several counties, King, Kittitas, Pierce, Chelan, Spokane, and Lewis, the rate of infection per 100,000 residents are all higher than Thurston County. In Spokane, the rate is 235 per 100,000 residents. The percent positive is also higher in Lewis, Grant, Spokane, Clark, Chelan, Yakima, Pierce, and Kittitas. These counties all have school districts that have opted to have at least a portion of their learning face-to-face. Even in Thurston County, there are private schools that are open for face-to-face instruction. These schools have all reopened safely. If these other school districts and counties throughout Washington can reopen safely, why not public schools in Thurston County? According to the Department of Health's decision-making tree, the local health officer should advise the school administrator and the school community on the level of COVID-19 activity, among other things. DOH goes on to say that the school administrators are ultimately responsible to establish appropriate educational services. Right now, there seems to be a disconnect between what the DOH decision tree says and the reality of what is going on. The Tumwater School District is not treating the health officer as an advisor, and they certainly don't seem to think that they have the final say in whether to reopen. One clear takeaway after reading the school district's website or listening to recent school board meetings is that the Board of Health is the one deciding whether schools reopen or not. On October 14th, the health officer stated that she strongly recommended at least a 14-day pause for expansion of hybrid in-person learning models. This strongly recommended language was repeated in her latest letter on November 6th. Private schools in Thurston County have heard the strongly recommended language before, but they have opened without issue. This type of language goes against the DOH decision-making tree and places too much power in the Board of Health. I fear that it is making the school districts feel powerless to make their own decisions after they get the necessary advice from the board. Tumwater High School says that 41% of its students are failing in at least one subject now. That is up from 10% in normal years. The suicide rate is climbing. Students are suffering from a lack of social interaction, yet multiple studies say that a return to school is safe, that opening schools does not contribute to disease progression in a community. If other counties across Washington state can have school districts reopen with higher transmission numbers than Thurston counties, I am confident that we can safely reopen schools here. Thank you for your time.